Evening. And Mick is the director here in South Dublin County Council. His directorate is Land Use Planning and Transportation. Mick is a town planner and urban designer by profession, and he only joined South Dublin County Council last year, but is already part of the furniture. Prior to joining South Dublin, Mick spent 16 years working in London delivering multi-million mixed-use regeneration schemes for the Mayor's office. Mick is passionate about the built environment and the benefits that great places can bring for people. Mick believes that Cycle South Dublin, a programme for work, is the first step to realising his vision and ambition for how South Dublin can become one of Ireland's most cycle-friendly counties. So Mick, you're very welcome. And if you would like to please proceed with your presentation, please.
Okay, Jennifer, are you able to hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. Just trying to send your content out. Sorry now. And there we go.
Okay, thanks Jennifer for the introduction. So as you said, today we're talking about Cycle South Dublin, our proposed programme of work, and as you say, my name is Mick Mulhern. I'm the Director of Planning and Transport in South Dublin. So I'll speak about 5 minutes or so, just talking through the content of the strategy and really what it is that we're trying to achieve. Through that, I mean, it's important to remind people as well that this is a public consultation which runs from the 17th of November till the 18th of December. So we're actually really keen to get people's input into the strategy and what we're talking about doing. So as a council, we've got a proposed vision for South Dublin to become one of Ireland's most cycle-friendly counties, and a mission to provide people with a well-connected, well-designed and safe cycle network that offers people a credible alternative to using their own car. Ultimately, look, we recognise absolutely that as a council we've got a long way to go to get to that point, but we will use a variety of measures to do that. So what will ultimately guide our work are our objectives, which set out our proposal to provide a comprehensive and connected cycle network, to make cycling a more achievable mode of transport for all people, young and old, adults and kids, and ultimately, alongside that, to improve the cycling identity of the county. Sorry about that, seems to be skipping. There's a couple of key elements that we'll have to do as part of that. Namely, what we've done, the first step which is part of this, is about arranging our programme so that we're clear and our councillors are clear and the public are clear about what we're trying to do. So we've broken that down into existing, now, soon and later works. The second big thing is about securing government funding. The third is, as we design projects, we do that to the highest standard, complying with DMORs and the NTA cycle standard and delivering segregated cycle networks where possible. We think it's really important to build political and community engagement and support for what we're trying to do. We need to do better on how we do our maintenance works. And also, this is going to be a live programme where we review and respond to changes and realities on the ground. So whilst it's a 10-year programme, we fully recognise things will need to consistently change. So I think Jennifer's covered a lot of this already, but why are we doing this? And I'm sure a lot of people on the webinar will know already, but 20% of carbon released in Ireland is from transport, of which 52%, so nearly 10% of the carbon released in Ireland is as a result of private cars. As Jennifer's already said, we've had an 11% increase in traffic congestion since 2016. And actually, over the next 10 years, our population in South Dublin is going to grow by 50,000 more people. So traffic is only going to get worse. Now, the NTA are doing a huge amount of work on Dart Plus and bus connects and Lewis capacity improvements. But ultimately, they are long, difficult and hard infrastructure projects to deliver. And actually, cycling can play a key role in delivering stuff on the ground now. The National Cycle Policy Framework is a target of 10%. Of people cycling frequently each week. In London, that's 20%, and in the Netherlands, they've already achieved 50%. And I think it's really interesting to note that actually people say, oh, the weather is terrible in Ireland, you'll never get it. Well, actually, it rains more frequently in the Netherlands than it does here. So in South Dublin at the moment, one of the most challenging things we have is the fact that 3.8% of our adults cycle frequently a week. And when you compare that to the 10% as a national target and the 50% that the Dutch have, we are way off that figure. But in a really positive light, 21% of South Dublin's population have said that they would like to cycle frequently, but that they have various reasons why they don't want to do that, including a lack of a network, lack of confidence, and so on. And it's also just important to note that as it stands today, we've got 207 kilometres of cycle network in the county, but we absolutely need more. So what are we proposing to do? Well, as I said, we've broken it down into 4 categories. We have that existing network. We've got a package of projects identified for the next 4 years, which we call now. We have our soon projects, which are 4 to 8, and our later projects, which are 8 to 10. So in total, they come to 41 projects, totaling 170 kilometres at a cost of about 240 million or so. And on top of that, then we've got 6 routes to be delivered by the NTA, which will be about 40 kilometres delivered by 2027. So in total, that's 47 projects, totaling 210 kilometres. That's what we want to achieve. And just interestingly, down the side there, we're just noting that as part of this, ultimately, there'll always be trialling stuff, temporary measures to test ideas as we go through. So on the first piece, this is just a map showing our existing cycle network. It's 207 kilometres. Some of it's in very good condition, some of it's quite new, others not so much, white lines on a road, dashed white lines on a road, a metre wide. So, in some circumstances, they're way below par of what we need to do. So actually, one of the things that we're doing right now is actually starting an audit of all of that to identify, like, where can we do, light segregation, where can we do quick maintenance, etc. So that's a piece of work that we're kicking off on now, and will lead to various kind of maintenance, light segregation interventions. The second, which is what we're focusing on now, is our Now scheme, and within that there's 19 projects that totals 95 kilometres of cycle lane at a cost of about 130 million or so. And that's what we want to kind of move into delivering have delivered over the next 4 years. So just to show, within that network that we've just spoken about, in 2021 we'll be working on 9 projects. You can see them on the map. The first one is the Selbridge Link Road. The second is Grand Canal to Lucan Urban Greenway. We've got Monastery Road in Clondalkin. We've got work. This is on a timer for some reason. I can't turn it off. We've got the N81 Jobestown Junction in Killanarden. We've got 2 schemes in Talatown Centre, Belgard Link Street, Talatown Centre scheme. We've got Wellington Lane. We've got the Dodder Valley, and we've got Grange Road. So they total about 28 kilometres of cycle lane that in 2021 will be on the ground on 7 of those, with 2 hopefully through planning, through detailed design, and may well be on site. But that's 28 kilometres, and just to put that in comparison, that's what we're trying to achieve next year. And if you put that in comparison to what we've done over the last couple of years, we've delivered over the last 4 years, we've delivered 8 projects totaling about 25 kilometres. So our ambition as a council is drastically enhancing. Then in our Now category, we've got 12 projects identified here, which total 40 kilometres at a cost of about 60 or so million. And in our later scheme, we've got 10 projects totaling 35 kilometres at a cost of about 50. Then in our last one, which brings it all together, we've got this just a completed network, which includes bus connects. So in total, that's 41 projects, 240 kilometres to be delivered over the next 10 years. And that's ultimately the fully connected network that we want to focus on. We would hope to deliver sooner than the 10 years, but that will ultimately come down to funding and staffing resources, securing planning permission for these things, and and an ambition to do more than that within the 10. So, where does that leave us? The final agreed programme will guide all of our cycle work and priorities of the council. Individual designs will then be progressed for each of those 19 schemes. Part A planning applications would be progressed. In the Now phase, we've got 8 of those projects are already underway. 7 of them have planning, and as I said, 8, or it was actually 9, sorry, 9 of those will hopefully be in the ground tomorrow. A significant amount of funding is needed to deliver all of these works, As I said, 8 have funding in place already, and we're in discussions with the NTA and the Department of Transport at the moment about, a funding envelope for at least for the now schemes for those 19 projects. And depending on how much funding is made available, we may be able to do even more than what we've set out there. So the next steps for us as a council are, we presented our schemes to council. There was an agreement to start a non-statutory public consultation. We've got our online webinar tonight. The non-statutory consultation will close on the 18th of December, and we hope to bring a full agreed programme with a funding commitment from the NTA back to our council for approval in Q1 2021. And then each year we would bring a monitoring report to council every year on how we're doing. So that's it from me. I'll pass back to Jennifer at that point.
Thanks, Mick. That was a very clear and comprehensive review of Cycle South Dublin and its